that seeks to create opportunities and strengthen community-focused development.
And this initiative is expected to focus on empowerment, visibility, partnerships building, and creating positive impact, especially for women and young people.
This project further reflects the vision of how Worship Lord Mayor Rohey Malick Lowe in building meaningful international relationships that can create lasting opportunities for communities within the city of Banjul and beyond.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us all the way from the United States of America, please help us warmly welcome Anjali Patif Mahadivya.
And at this moment, we invite her to say a few words.
Hello, everyone. Today, I have the privilege of sharing a project that I have been working alongside with Mayor Rohey Malick Lowe. In 2026, today, women and girls across rural Gambia are still walking several kilometers every single day just to collect water. Every day, countless women are forced to spend hours walking in extreme heat, missing school and opportunities, and risking and facing threats of gender-based violence and attacks from wildlife just on the way to get water. Water should be a right. I'll never forget what Mayor Rohey Malick Lowe told me on how this work began. She traveled across rural Gambia speaking directly with women and asked them one simple question. What is the one thing that you would need that would most transform your life? And unanimously, all the women answered, water. The answer became a mission, and that mission is now transforming communities. When you provide women with safety and water, you give them dignity, education, opportunity, and time. This is time to learn, to build, to dream, to care for family, and to create a future. After surveying hundreds of villages, Mayor Lowe identified the top 40 communities in most urgent need for water. But the need is far greater, and now our vision is to expand this work to 100 rural communities across Gambia. This is part of the legacy of her worship, Rohey Malick Lowe. And now we are building solar-powered boreholes directly inside these villages to provide clean water access to nearly 5,000 people per community per day. And the impact goes even further. The water that is being used is also for the creation and maintenance of community gardens, which allow women to grow crops and produce revenue-generating activities that will allow them to support their families and create economic independence within their communities. Our goal is to raise $2.5 million to build 100 boreholes. This project will provide clean water access to more than 500,000 people across rural Gambia. Projects like this would also not be possible without the support of leaders, the leaders that you see here above, in their support for allyship for women in general. So thank you. And I want to take a moment to sincerely thank Mayor Lowe. Mayor Lowe has always been a champion for women. This is why we are here today. She has always been a voice for the underrepresented and creates pathways and platforms and opportunities for women to rise and lead. She is truly a maverick of her time, and it has been such an inspiration to work with her and to see her light for women everywhere. Mayor, thank you for your vision, your compassion, your leadership, and your relentless commitment to women and families across Gambia. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this incredible legacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anjali, for those inspiring words. And we wish you and her worship, the Lord Mayor Rahim Ali Globe, continued success with this important collaboration. It's indeed something good for Mother Gambia. And at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to also acknowledge the presence of Imam Fode Kaba Dumbuya, Imam Ratib Tobacco Road Mosque, Mrs. Mariam Sise, National Coordinator, Revela, the Gambia National Chapter, and all the respective Revela coordinators, and of course His Excellency Amali Musa, Nigerian High Commissioner to the Gambia. You're all welcome.
Thank you very much, Andy. Comme Anjali lu doon wax rek si kàllaama Angale, Anjali dafa nekk nit boo xam ne daal dafa bàyyeekoo America, United States of America, dafa ñëw Gambia fii pour mobilize resources jàppale Her Worship the Lord Mayor Rahim Ali Globe pour ñu dajale koom-koom mun a jàppale jigéen ñoo xam ne daal ñoo nekk rural Gambia te amuñ ndox xam nañ ne ndox dafa important torop si dundi di doomi aadama jigéen yi ñu si maako yi jigéen yi ñu si kër yi ñu si marché yi soo suñ amutee ndox rek daf dee nekk problème soo gis na ne jigéen yi ñu ngi jànkuwante lu bari si wàllum ndox moo taxit nag moom Rahim Ali loolu daf ko fi andi spécifiquement pour mu dajale koom-koom lu toll $2.5 million pour jàppale jigéen yoo xam ne daal 5,000 jigéen yoo xam ne daal ñu si Gambia bi si gox yi jàppale leen si booboo lu toll ni 100 booboo maanaam téeméeri booboo tàccu leen ko.
Thank you very much, Julde. And ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to one of the key highlights of today's program, the official book launching. And our guest hardly needs an introduction. He is a respected journalist, media personality, author, and public figure whose voice and contribution to media and national discourse continues to inspire many across the country and beyond.
Through journalism, storytelling, and public engagement, he has remained committed to informing, educating, and contributing to conversations that matter within our society.
And today we celebrate not only a publication, but also the journey, experiences, and ideas behind it.
Ladies and gentlemen, rise to your feet if you can and help us to warmly welcome our author, His Excellency, the Honorable himself, Madi Sise.
Thank you very much. The team of Master of Ceremonies, it is indeed an honor and pleasure to be given this opportunity to talk about something that is at my fingertips. That is the life of no other person but our own man, Rahim Ali Globe. Allow me to welcome Senator, Your Excellency, Abigail, and all other dignitaries that come from far and close to honor this occasion. And also allow me to singly pick on my party leader and Secretary General, who is no other person but Lawyer Sundabu. By extension to other political party leaders who are present here. And I also want to use this opportunity to welcome the diplomatic corps, ambassadors from Turkey, the Chinese embassy's representative, the Malian representative, all others, Nigerian ambassador, and all other ambassadors that are present in this forum, and the general public. I thank you all. The biography of Lord Mayor is a book out of 12 that I have authored, and it is one book that is really not easy as far as I am concerned. You all know by record, she is number one in several things. And that is why the title of the book is A Woman of Substance and Barrier Breaker. If I have to unfold that, means that she has an ability of crossing difficult rivers and many other challenges. She is number one, as I said, in several occasions, in several things. She is the first elected mayor, not only of the Gambia, but of the capital city of Banjul. She is also one of the first mayor of Banjul that has been re-elected. From 1939 to 2026, we have 16 leaderships in Banjul City Council. None of them was elected twice. So she took first in that. To write her story was difficult, definitely difficult for me, and I faced a lot of challenges. Laying my hands on some records was very difficult, not forthcoming. But I want to thank Mr. Hassan Sise, historian and head of the National Council for Arts and Culture, for making some records and facts available to me. Ladies and gentlemen, even getting records outside the archives was a problem, because if you are writing a history of somebody, the person herself or himself must give you the story. But then also you need to do some research to get some facts and add to them. That is where I had a lot of challenges, because as a woman leader, these records are very difficult to come by. But with constant efforts, I was able to lay my hands on things that are available, and today one can hold a piece of book and know all about her. Not only about her. Maybe at the tail end of my deliberations, I'll tell you what else you can find in the book. All the chapters in the book, I found them very interesting. But there's one particular chapter that I really love, and that is what I'm going to share with you. That chapter is, "The death has approved my candidature." Does that not sound strange? The death, somebody who is not living, has approved my candidature, was the chapter I love best. Through the interactions and interviews with Lord Mayor, at the beginning of her candidature as a woman, and not only a woman, but also the only person that is opposing a sitting mayor of Banjul. She was the only candidate that was opposing throughout the country, that was opposing a sitting mayor. That was a tough game for her. And apart from that, she was one of the only candidates of the United Democratic Party that is contested in a region that no sitting member of parliament of the UDP was. That was also another very difficult. That is why the book is titled on the second phase as a barrier breaker. This woman was able to face all those challenges and came out victorious in her first term of elections. And not only that, the late mayor, if you read the book, you will find that even her candidature was a problem within the family. Her own mother was not with her. Her brothers and sisters, some of them, only one person was with her at the beginning. So it was tough. And that's why I said that chapter that is called "The Death Approved My Candidature." It was my favorite chapter. The woman of the day, after all those frustrations, has to go to the graveyard of Banjul. And you know, as Muslims, women are not allowed to go into graveyards. So she has to go to her father's grave to ask for approval, to ask for his prayers. And she has to sneak into the graveyard. And the person guarding the graveyard was also scared. Allowed her once Second time, and the third time, the man said, look, don't put me in trouble. Women are not allowed to come to the graveyards. She begged and begged, and she was allowed. And on that fateful day, somebody was to be buried. So the crowd came, and she was there. Guess what she did? She has to hid behind one of the two until the crowd passed away. And then, when she returned home, automatically things changed for her. The mother has changed and approved her candidature. So that was a blessing for her. I will not go into the detail of the chapter. I will allow you to go and find the copies and read those chapters for yourself to know how it ended and how she finally made it. Ladies and gentlemen, this book is also a literature of the leadership of Banjul City Council. At this point, I want to make recognition to a senior member of a senior citizen and former government official, Honorable Bala Gaba Jahumba. Simple reason, his father, late Bala Gaba Jahumba, was the first leadership of Banjul City Council in 1939. At one point, we made reference to BCC as a battery of politicians. A lot of our successful politicians passed through BCC. I will leave that to you to read the book to know who are those leaderships. But I want to mention that late Ibrahim Gaba Jahumba was the first leader of the council. Today, council has 16 leaderships. Although the titles has changed. Recently we are calling them mayors. They were not called mayors before. But the 8th mayor and the 16th mayor is a father and a daughter. The 8th mayor of Banjul City Council was Lord Mayor Malik Law, who is no other person but the father to our present mayor. So again, that's another force that the mayor has done. The book has a very lengthy literature on the history of Banjul City Council. And I would recommend that the BCC should make these copies available to all the schools in Banjul. And every Banjulian should make it an effort and lay your hand on this book so that you know the history of your council and our able men. I want to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity, and I want to wish the mayor success. And I will take permission from her. Right from here, I have to go straight because one of my books also is going to be launched today at 4 o'clock at the National Assembly. That is Africa-China relations. So I have to go and work on some logistics. I thank you all.
And we also would like to take this opportunity to respectfully acknowledge the presence of the Lord Bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia and Chairman of the Gambian Christian Council, Most Reverend Bishop Bani E.F. Manga. You are welcome, sir. Your presence today is deeply appreciated, and we are honored to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Andy. I wouldn't do justice if I don't really translate this to our national languages, because for me, really, this is the highlight of the event. You know, the struggle that Honorable has gone through to actually write a book about the Lord Mayor, who's to show that, you know, it is really difficult to lead as a woman, to be a leader in this country, not just in this country, but Africa in general. So it takes resilience, it takes hard work, it takes persistence, it takes you to actually sacrifice a lot to be where the mayor is. So comme nu ko doon waxee rek Honorable Madi Cissé moom moo binda bu boo xam ne daal moo about jaar-jaari Lord Mayor Rohey Malick Lowe wax na daal si book bi moom daal loo xam ne daal am na solo si moom moo nekk ne lu mu fi wax mu ne bu mu doon binda book bi dafa métti si moom torop ndaxte am record mu doon jigéen boo xam ne daal dafa nekk jigéeni jàmbaar am record xam jaar-jaaram lan la daj pour liggéey parce que nga nekk jigéen boo xam ne daal yaa ngi position. Degala, papa mayor la woon waaye dafa jafe woon trop pour moom mu nekk mayor ndaxte even yaayam boo xam ne daal moo ko jur dafa against on the issue of moom mu nekk mayor nekkul ne bëggul mu nekk foofu noonu waaye because of situation bi because of environment bi nit xoolee jigéen boo xam ne daal jóg na mu nekk si position boo xam ne daal moo toll ne mu nekk jigéen boo xam ne benn jigéen si Gambia depuis Gambia bu mu doonee Gambia moom rek a nekk jigéen boo xam ne daal oo nañ ko si history books yi ñu ne kii moo nekk Lord Mayor of Banjul te Lord Mayor si dëkk boo xam ne daal moo nekk capital city of the Gambia so loolu
the leader of over time about the evidence about my sister. There are archives of a revolution led by the
stories and challenges of the Lord Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is a distinguished public servant and respected leader whose journey continues to inspire many, especially women and young people across different communities.
And as Councillor and former Lord Mayor of Leeds in the United Kingdom, her leadership continues to reflect dedication to representation, inclusion, service and community empowerment.
Just like the Lord Mayor of Banjul, her story reminds is one of resilience, leadership and of course impact beyond borders.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please help us warmly welcome Her Lordship Abigail Marshall Khatun.
Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, who also serves as my husband's twin, and also my other half, my husband's Senator Sunday Marshall Khatun, who's here today. If you all don't know, if you are married to twins, you have to be married to both of them. So thank you very much to my husband, who is the silent doer behind the scenes and has facilitated a lot of what you see here today. So my darling, thank you very much. Our UDP leader, and I use the word our because I am also Gambian. Thank you very much, sir, Lawyer Derbo, for holding the light and for looking after my dear sister. To stand on all existing protocol, to all the distinguished guests here, all fellow mayors, all the wonderful people who have come from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Give them a huge round of applause. Ambassadors and all the diplomatic corps here today, thank you all so much. Most importantly, my new Minka sisters, give them a huge hand of applause. I stand before you today with profound sense of honor and humility. I am absolutely delighted to be given the opportunity to deliver a keynote address in an event where my own sister is being celebrated. Let me be clear, it's not just about celebrating her as a colleague and a sister. I am here to witness a living legend, her worship, Rohi Malik Lowe, the Lord Mayor of Banjul. As we have heard earlier, we launched 3 wonderful commemorative books, a documentary, a magazine, and of course, her book, which we've just heard from Mr. Malik as well, about his reasons behind that book. And very, very touching, especially the chapter 3 and her worship going to her father's grave. God bless you. Also, I mentioned the Secretary General of the UDP. I have also just found out that he is also a senior alumni of the University of Lagos, Nigeria. Amazing. No wonder you are the leader of the UDP. My husband also happens to be an alumni of the University of Lagos. So congratulations. So today, it's all about the evidence about my sister. There are archives of a revolution led by a great woman who took the name and the capital of this great city across oceans, continents, and into the highest chambers of global power. Ladies and gentlemen, again, my sister, her worship, Rohi Malik Love. I will begin with the local level, which I call transforming Banjul from within. When her worship was elected the mayor of Banjul in 2018, she inherited a city rich in history, but burdened by neglect. She did not complain, she acted, and as a woman of courage, it's surely in her deeds. Let's talk about the Albert Market restoration. Lord Mayor Lowe looked at Albert Market and refused to let it down. She looked beyond commerce, as the market was originally built by her own father. Over time, it had fallen into severe disrepair. Many thought it was beyond saving, but her worship would not let her father's legacy nor Banjul's heritage crumble into dust. As a daddy's girl myself, I know firsthand what it means to carry a late father's legacy. Her worship, your late father will be so proud of you and will continue to be your guardian angel. In restoring the market, the Lord Mayor sought funding. She built partnerships. She secured support from development partners who trusted her, a demonstration of her diplomatic skills and her ability to bring international resources to local problems. Today, Albert Market stands restored, a trading hub, a monument to persistence, and a symbol of what happens when a leader refuses to give up on her people. Here in the room, I can say with confidence that there are women who trade in that market today. Let's talk about youth employment and dignity. Her worship understands that a clean city is a dignified city. She launched a youth-led urban cleaning system that began with 70 workers and now employs hundreds of young people. Through the Youth Volunteerism Scheme, validated with United Nations support, she is breaking the cycle between education and unemployment. Young people in Banjul are not waiting for handouts. They are working, they are learning, and I am certain they are also very proud of our Lord Mayor. Talking about Water for Women, her flagship Water for Women initiative, which I know is very, very dear to her heart. She has delivered clean water to underserved communities across the Gambia, directly advancing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 6 in a nation where women and children bear the heaviest burden of water scarcity. Her worship has turned a human right into a lived reality of thousands of families, and I join the good people of Banjul to say thank you, Her Lordship. The next point I wish to highlight here is that of the national level, which I call the Gambian's voice for local government. Her worship, Rohilo, is not just the mayor of Banjul, she is the national conscience for local government in the Gambia. She has consistently argued that local government is where impact lives. At the launch of the Organization Economic Cooperation and Development of African Development Bank and United 2025, she declared, open quote, "Most institutions with financial power want to work with central government rather than local government. Local government is not at the top of their agenda, but that's where impact is," close quote. Lord Mayor Lowe has received national recognition, including West Africa Social Media Awards, Public Service Excellence Award in 2025, presented alongside Her Excellency First Lady Fatoumata Barrow. Accepting her award, Her Worship humbly said, open quote, "This recognition is not a personal accolade, but a testament to the collective spirit, resilience, and hard work of the entire city of Banjul and the Gambia," close quote. The UDP, in a rare gesture of cross-partisan celebration, publicly congratulated Her Worship on winning the African Woman of the Year award, calling her an excellent example of girls and young women, a fine role model, an exemplary leader, and of course, a woman of substance. Thank you. When political parties agree on a leader's excellence, that leader has transcended partisanship. Her Worship has done exactly that. Now let me take you to the international level, which I label Banjul's voice on the global stage. This is where Her Worship Rohim Malik Lowe has truly rewritten the script of what a city mayor can be. Addressing the United Nations General Assembly, Her Worship addresses that assembly every single year. Let me repeat, every single year for the last 8 years as well, since 2018. This is where a forum of the highest level of political power in the world, where you meet the movers and the shakers of the globe. When she stands on that podium in New York, she does not speak as Rohim Malik Lowe, but she speaks as the mayor of Banjul, and the world listens. What the world sees there is Banjul, and the world sees the Gambia, and that is simply amazing. Let's talk about the World Urban Forum, a historic double honor. Just 2 weeks ago in Baku, Azerbaijan, Her Worship achieved what few leaders will ever experience. She was selected to deliver the keynote address at the opening ceremony of the World Urban Forum 13. She was also selected to deliver the closing speech on behalf of local and regional governments of the entire world. What a woman, what a legend. Give her a good hand of applause. From opening to closing, Her Worship represented every city, every region, every local government on this planet at that event. That is not an accident. That is the result of years of tireless advocacy, relationship building, and relentless visibility on behalf of the people of Banjul. As the president of RAFELA, the local elected women's network of Africa, known as with the French acronym RAFELA, Her Worship leads a continental movement spanning 54 African countries, and under her leadership, RAFELA has championed 3 historic agendas backed by the United Nations Agenda for 2063 and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. First, zero violence against women and girls. Secondly, zero exclusion of women from politics and decision making. And thirdly, empowerment of women and girls. She has personally overseen capacity building programs that have trained women mayors and councillors across the continent in leadership, in governance, in fundraising, and in gender budgeting. Africa as a capital city for sustainability, and through the Africa Capital Cities Sustainability Forum, Her Worship has built a continental network of capital city mayors committed to sustainable urban development, sharing best practices, mobilizing resources, and speaking with one voice on challenges such as climate change. As the Vice President of the Global Parliament of Mayors, her worship serves as the Vice President of the Global Parliament of Mayors, placing Banjul at the table where world's most influential city leaders shape global policy. She has received, as the first African mayor, the Global Parliament of Mayors Awards in 2022 in recognition of her exceptional leadership. Thank you. At the United Nations high-level engagement, her worship has addressed the United Nations Water Conference, declaring, open quote, "Water governance is not only a global concern, but a local responsibility. Meaningful participation must begin before conferences are convened, with local governments actively involved in shaping agendas from the outset," close quote. She has represented Banjul at the UN Climate Conference, the Africa Climate Summit, the Afro-City Summit, and the Stockholm Conference on Women's Political Participation. She has also served as a panelist alongside the African Development Bank, Organization for Economic Cooperation, and Development and Cities Alliance global power players. Looking at the South-South cooperation as well, her worship has championed South-South cooperation, facilitating exchanges between Banjul and other developing cities to share best practice in governance, climate action, and gender equality. The renovation of the Albert Market, supported by the King of Morocco, stands as a shining example of what such partnerships can achieve. So from Harvard to the Smallest Workshop, her worship has also led and making sure that it's not monopolized, but it is actually cultivated. She has participated in Harvard leadership programs, bringing world-class executive education back here in Banjul. She has also organized small grassroots capacity building workshops for women and youth across the city, whether on a global stage or in a local community. She is always building the next generation. She has built the capacity for young women to set up and replace her. She knows her time will come to leave the scene at some point, but she will never ever leave you. To all the strong women out there, may we know them, may we be them, and most importantly, may we raise them. And I know firsthand that that is exactly what our Lord Mayor is doing, raising young girls to be like her someday. With these remarkable work that she does, people appreciate her everywhere. I will now talk about some of the award and international recognition that she has received. Not for her personal ambition, but as recognition of Banjul's rising stature. In 2022, she received the Global Parliament Awards and Parliament of Mayors Award. In 2023, the Special Citation of Exemplary Leadership of the United Nations Habitat. In 2024, African Woman of the Year, and 2025, West Africa Social Media Award for Public Service and Excellence Award. Every award that her worship has received, she has dedicated it not to herself, but to the people of Banjul. Now, permit me to respond to the critics of her travels. Very important. Some people complain that her worship travels too much. Let me address that directly, and I've got the authority to do so. She does not travel for family visits. She does not travel for tourism. She does not travel for her personal pleasure. Lord Mayor Lowe travels for the people of Banjul. She travels for the people of Gambia. Traveling can be very risky, but she does in May to Nigeria was also to attend the Impact Her and African Union Global Women's Sustainable Conference, of which I was also part of, representing the people of Banjul, and both of us, myself as a former mayor and her as your mayor, in that capacity in another country, and she used that same visit to travel to Bayelsa State, and that is the result of what you see today with His Excellency and His Emperor in the Gambia. From Bayelsa, she also moved to the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and sat for a session in the Red Chambers, thanks to my dear husband who invited both of us, and she was well recognized on behalf of the people of Banjul in the Red Chambers at the National Assembly in Abuja, not for herself again, but for the people of Banjul and the Gambia. So when she stands at the United Nations General Assembly, she carries the name of the city and the flag of your country. When she delivers the closing speech on behalf of the cities and regions of the world does not see Rohi Malik Low, they see Banjul and they see the Gambia. She addresses world heads of state. She sits at the table where decisions are made about climate, finance, urban development, and gender equality. And every single time, she makes sure that Banjul is in the room. Just a few mayors have that opportunity. I can tell you that, and she is definitely one of them. So let us not criticize her travel, Gambians. Let us celebrate it, because every mile that she flies, every passport that's been stamped, she collects every speech that she delivers, and she is doing that for the people of Banjul and the Republic of Gambia. So before I conclude, I want to call on the women and the girls of Banjul and the Gambia, specifically right now. I speak directly to you as your sister. Her worship, Rohi Malik Law, has built the capacity of young women to step up and replace her, and to step up most importantly. She has mentored, she has trained, she has opened doors. One day she will leave the scene, but she will not leave you. So I say to every young woman here today, do not be afraid to step up and get into her shoes. Go to her, tell her to hold your hand, and I guarantee you she will do just that. She will guide you, she will teach you, she will fight for you, as she has fought for Banjul over so many years. The road is not easy, I can assure you. When I came here in March and I was talking about women in politics, I did tell you that being a woman in politics is tough, and being a woman of color in politics is tougher. But she has continued to blaze the trail. So thank you, my Lord Mayor. Critics will not be silent, but her worship has shown you that a woman from Banjul can stand at the podium of the United Nations and the world will listen. You are her legacy, and that legacy is just beginning. So to conclude your worship, today we launch a book to chronicle your journey, a documentary to capture your impact, and a magazine to celebrate your vision. But your true legacy is not written on paper. It is written in the restored walls of the Albert Market, the clean water flowing to underserved communities, the young people earning dignified wages, and the women now preparing to take your place. It is written in the eyes of every girl in Banjul who now believes that one day she also can become a mayor. You have carried Banjul to the United Nations, you have carried the Gambia to the world, and you have done it with grace, with courage, and an unshakable love for your people. The people of Banjul see you, the people of the Gambia applaud you, Africa and the world celebrate you. Our worship Rohi Malik Law, we salute you. not only as the mayor of Banjul, but as a voice of a new Africa where women lead, where cities innovate, and where local government changes lives. Thank you, Your Worship, for the exemplary leadership you have shown over the years, serving the people of Banjul, the Gambia, Africa, and right through to the international level. Long may these years of service continue. We stand in sisterhood, solidarity, and most importantly, service. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today in celebrating this remarkable and outstanding sister, friend, mother, wife, daughter. The list goes on and on. So on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the good people of Leeds in the United Kingdom, and for everyone here in this room, may we say that may God bless our worship, Rohima Lo, may God bless the people of Banjul, and may God bless the Republic of Gambia. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much. I want to thank Worship Abigail Marshall Khatun for that inspiring keynote address. And thank you for your powerful words, your leadership, and continued commitment to community development, unity and empowerment. We are indeed truly honored by your presence here today, man. Thank you so much. We would like to respectfully acknowledge the presence of Mr. Usman Toure, Deputy Executive Coordinator for Banjul, and thank him for honoring this occasion with his presence. We also, the Office of the Lord Mayor, also extend sincere appreciation to our valued sponsors whose generous support and partnership continue to contribute greatly to initiatives such as this. And special thanks to QCell, Turkish Airlines, APS, and Banjul Airport for standing with the people of Banjul and supporting the vision and efforts of the Office of the Lord Mayor. Your support is truly appreciated. And we are equally pleased to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Matar Sen, President of the Gambia Wrestling Association, Honorable Ndeya Sekesala, Member of Parliament, as well as Mr. Wuture and the Jumbanti Reumi presidential candidate. Thank you all for gracing this occasion with your presence and support. Julie.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you, Madam Abigail. That was a powerful, powerful statement. Please give her another round of applause. This is women power, this is women leadership, and it goes to show that when women lead, changes happen. Comme ki moy Abigail, mom doon na Hariti Mayor, doon na doomi ndeyam momit former mayor la woon, ànd na mayor bi si international events yu bari, comme lu doon wax rek si kàllaama angale mu nekk lu am solo moo nekk jaar-jaari maire bi waaye tamit achievements yoo xam ne daal loolu la receive under pressure, because situation bi tey suñ ko gisee tey mayor bi ñëpp xam nañ ne dañ ko bully, dañ ko saaga, cyber bullying, cyber lii yoolu yëpp dañ na ko si both sides of the country, waaye gis nañ ne loolu taxut mu ne déedéet lii man maa ngi kaa nekk mayor Banjul waaye du man maa nekk laas soo doonee force pour nga bàyyi legacy pour nit ñi doona la danga war a nekk nit koo xam ne daal danga xarañ waaye tamit danga war a nekk nit koo xam ne daal jigéeni jàmbaar la. Jigéeni jàmbaar mooy nga fàtte sa noppa yi, jigéeni jàmbaar mooy nga bàyyi nit ñi duñ la nekk di wax, jigéeni jàmbaar mooy saaga bu mu la dugal nga du am a thick skin. Te gis nañ ne mayor jigéeni jàmbaar la. Góor bu mën jigéen ba mën góor la. Gis nañ achievements yu fi register. Mun nañoo wax ne sax achievements bu register moom si tanuwam bi mun nañoo wax ne sax góor yi moromi góoram yi xaax boobu noonu defuñ ko. Gis nañ ne fii Abigail lim na si achievements yoo xam ne daal mayor Malick Lo def na ko si under her leadership. Gis nañ ne fi nekk ni jàngal na jigéen ñi janga boo xam ne daal bu am solo la because janga rek moo ñu liberate as a people suñ jàngee rek ñu dañoo libéré soo gisee tey ñu ngee toog di wax women empowerment women leadership ñu ngee wax jigéen ñi dañ war a dem si kanam jigéen ñi dañ war a lead because for far too long jigéen ñi dañ dee gis ne dañ dee serve as yaay compete dañ dee gis ne jigéen si dañ dee nekk feccakat dañ dee gis jigéen ñi yoo dañ dee nekk toogakat si parti yi waaye mais yoo dafa ñëw mu ne enough is enough women if you can lead su dee ne mën nañ laa def si position bi as góor bi waaye kat we lead imagine ku jur góor ku mool góor ku ko defar ba ku mun a taxaw tey mu nekk président kon kooku noonu am na sañ-sañ bi am na mun-mun bi pour mu mun a lead fu nekk soo meer bi jaar-jaaram tey achievements bi rek lañ nekk di célébrer waaye buñ fàtte tamit jaar-jaar bi buñ fàtte ne saaga bi it comes with that foog nga am thick skin soo moo taxit nag mu ngay wax ne man meeyo Rohima Lilo du ma jógee tànk fii ma jógee fi fekk aw ma ku ma replace soo foog naa ne ñu yëpp tey dañ si war a jàngee di wax ne ok dama faa nekk ba faw waaye legacy booy bàyyi am na solo torop ëllëg ak si biir soo fa nekkutee kan ngay groupe pour mu nekk si sa place meeyo loolu la nekk di def nekku fa pour boppam wax bi tamit bëri na di wax ne meeyo mu ngee tukki rek mooy meeyo mu ngee tukki comme Habigal lu ko waxee mu ne tukki bi mu nekk di tukki noonu nekkul pour boppam nekkul pour famille am bi mu ngee tukki because of Banjul mu ngee tukki because of Gambia soo gisee tey mu ngee daan doola mu ngee dem guddi di cëg mënut a nelaw mënut a toog is because jigéen ñi tey dafa bëgg a gis ne jigéen ñi jàng nañ dafa bëgg a gis ne jigéen ñi dañ am dignified life waaye dafa bëgg a gis ne tamit ndaw ñi fekk jàng nañ xam nañ lan moo nekk seen ak seen yelleef because development because empowerment because access to clean water access to sanitation access to energy loolu are fundamental human rights so gisul ko dafa nekk di jàngal jigéen ñi pour ñu xam ne lii nekkul tey dañ la ko jox rek pour yow citizen nga waaye sa ak sa yelleef la loolu sa fundamental human right la mu nekk lu am solo so lu am na international awards yu bëri yoo xam ne daal du Gambia fii la ko amee waaye all over the world adresse na toog na foo xam ne daal moo nekk the highest decision making body lu nekk United Nations General Assembly adresse na foofu noonu te wax na about fi jigéen ñi ndaw yi ak climate change so gis nañ ne maire bi achievement bi mu register in the Gambia here 5,000 beneficiaries ñoo xam ne daal ñoo benefit from booholam bi youth empowerment initiatives yu nekk di def jàngale ndaw yi jigéen ñi empowerment guiding bi gis nañ ne economy of the Gambia 70% of the economy of the Gambia people are in the agricultural sector and of course they are in the informal sector and mayor bi play na a key role pour ensure ne jigéen ñi are integrated they are part and parcel of national development nekkatu yaay kon bi waaye dañoo jóg tey am positions yu góor yi am what a man can do a woman can do even better and 10 times more.
Jërëjëf waay we will now proceed to the next segment of today's program, and our next speaker is dedicated public servant and community leader whose role in local governance continues to contribute to development initiatives and civic engagement within the city.
And of course, his service to and commitment and service and collaboration within the Banjul City Council continues to shape the development aspiration of the city and of course the community and institutional progress of the city.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Deputy Mayor Abdul Aziz Gay.
Give him a round of applause.
His Excellency, Executive Governor Duye Diri of Bayelsa State, and his high-powered delegation from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Her Worship, the Mother of us all, Ajaratu Rohi Malik Low, Honorable Lord Mayor of Banjul City Council and President of Rafael, and also the host of this very important occasion. His Excellency, Party Leader and Secretary General of the United Democratic Party, Honorable Usainu Dam. And also all the senior political party representatives here present. His Excellency the Turkish Ambassador, members of the diplomatic corps here present, Honorable Sunday Marshall Khatun, Senator of Southern Kaduna, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Mayor Abigail Marshall Khatun, Councillor and former Lord Mayor of Leeds, United Kingdom, Lord Mayor of Kermasar, Honorable Adam Assar and his deputy, Honorable Boubacar Bachili, Honorable Council and delegation from the Republic of Mali, Honorable Madi Sise, and Honorable Mudlamin Biramba, and all other National Assembly members here present, Honorable Yakuba Dabo, Lord Mayor of Birkama Area Council, Honorable Lamin Keseidi, Presidential Youth Advisor, CEO and senior members of Banjul City Council, Honorable Councillors of Banjul City Council, Honorable Amali Musa, Nigerian High Commission, Mrs. Aisa Tuja, Executive Director of the Q Group Foundation, religious and traditional leaders across the Gambia, representative of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare and other representatives from ministries, departments and agencies here present, Rafael National Coordinator and Regional Coordinators, women groups from across the Gambia, representatives from our distinguished partners, the Gambia Police Band, and cultural groups from within the Gambia and Nigeria, Honorable Baragaba Jahumpa, Action Man, and other invited distinguished guests, friends from the media, my dear uncles, Honorable Uncle Ibrahim Amane, and Honorable Uncle Mamjai, and also my mother and sister here present today. Allow me to begin with a confession. As I sat preparing these remarks, I realized that I was facing a challenge. Not because I did not know what to say, but because I did not know how to speak about the woman we celebrate today. Many of you know her as a worship. Many of you know her as mayor. Many of you know her as a champion of women, a respected stateswoman, and a leader whose voice has traveled far beyond the borders of our beloved city. But for me, it has never been that simple. Because somewhere along this journey, she became much more than a mayor. She became a mentor, a guide, and in many ways, a mother figure. When I learned that a book and documentary were being launched in honor of her worship, Ajaratu Rohi Malik Low, I smiled. Not because I was surprised, but because I realized that history was beginning to record what many of us had already witnessed. Because some people passed through office, others leave footprints. Across Banjul, across the Gambia, across Africa, and in the lives of countless people she has encountered along the way. Today is not merely a celebration of an individual. It is a celebration of what is possible when courage meets conviction, when leadership meets service, and when a woman refuses to accept the limitations that society sometimes places before her. In myself. For that, I will always remain grateful. In many ways, I was fortunate. I entered public service as a young man with energy, passion, ideas, and the legitimacy that comes from being elected by the people. Like many young leaders, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to contribute. I wanted to help shape the future of my city. But one of the greatest lessons I learned early in my journey was this: that not every opportunity is an opportunity to compete. Some opportunities are opportunities to learn. Some opportunities are opportunities to serve. I understood that very early, that my responsibility was not to compete with her worship. My responsibility was to support her. My responsibility was to learn from her. My responsibility was to carry part of the burden, do the heavy lifting whenever necessary, and help turn vision into reality. And I can say this honestly today: whenever her worship called, I answered. Whether it was during the day, whether it was at night, whether it was at 2 o'clock in the morning, whether it was convenient or not, I answered. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Because when you genuinely believe in a leader and the mission she represents, service stops feeling like a duty and becomes a privilege. And if there is one lesson I hope young people take from my journey, it is this: leadership is not always about seeking the spotlight. I pray that when history remembers this chapter of Banjul, it remembers not only what we achieved, but how we achieved it. A mayor willing to mentor, a young leader willing to learn, and a shared commitment to putting the city before personal ambition. As the first woman elected to lead the capital city of our nation, she carried a responsibility greater than the office itself. She was not only governing a city, she was opening doors for future generations of women and girls. Leadership is not always about seeking the spotlight, as I said. Leadership is not always about titles. Sometimes leadership is about loyalty. Sometimes leadership is about humility. And sometimes leadership is about understanding that before you can successfully lead, you must first learn to serve. Under her worship's leadership, I have witnessed transformation. I have seen women empowered, youth empowered, opportunities created, and our city become cleaner, stronger, and more confident. Through city diplomacy and international partnerships, she demonstrated that Banjul could sit confidently at global tables. She proved that influence is not determined by geography, but by vision. Many leaders live behind buildings. Many leaders live behind policies. Many leaders live behind speeches, but few live behind belief. Her worship made women believe. She made young people believe. She made communities believe. She made Banjul believe. The book launched today will tell your story. The documentary will preserve your journey. The magazine will record your achievements, but none of them can fully capture your greatest legacy. Your greatest legacy lives in people. History will remember you as a mayor. Africa will remember you as a leader. Banjul will remember you as one of its finest daughters. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your service. Thank you for believing in Banjul, and thank you for believing in me. May your legacy continue to inspire generations onward. Thank you, my Lord.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Abdul Aziz Gay, for those remarks. Indeed, this goes to show that the contribution of Her Lordship, the Lord Mayor Rohim Ali Low. And then for me, one thing really stood out for me. It's about the ability to make people believe. You know, that is very difficult. Leadership is not all about convenience, but it's about service to nation. It's about loyalty to the Republic. It's about legacy. It's about what you do and the impact you have done in the lives of the people. You can give someone $1 million today and tomorrow they forget. But once you impact knowledge, you impact morale in someone, they can go with that for the rest of their lives and they will never forget. And that is what she was able to do for the people of Banjul, but also to the people of the Gambia. Comme kii mooy Abdou Aziz Gueye moom moo nekk Deputy Lord Mayor of Banjul City Council. Comme nu mu ko doon waxee rek moom it dafa jaajëfal Lord Mayor si góob boo xam ne daal loolu la ko def wax na ne Lord Mayor dafa nekk jigéen boo xam ne daal waxu ko rek joxu nekkul foofu noonu rek position waaye daf ko dee puus mu dee méttee suba ngoon pour mu nekk the best version of himself mu jàppale boppam mu góob boppam ndaxte góob sa boppa si jaamu yàlla la bokk tamit soo góobutee sa boppa doo mun a jaamu yàlla soo góobutee sa boppa da ngaa doon slave si keneen soo góob sa boppa dafa am solo nit ki mun nga ko may lu nekk waaye one important thing soo ko mayul rek moo nekk ngóob mu góob sa boppa nga am gore nga gore loolu is something very very important te mu ne Lord Mayor dafa nekk loo xam ne loolu daf ko instill si moom waaye nekk moom kese daf ko instill si ndaw ñoo xam ne daal ñoo nekk Banjul te xam naa ne Abdoulaye Coulibaly mu ngi fi moom it ndaw la boo xam ne daal dafa xari torop si Banjul City Council gis nañ fi tamit honorable Ba moom it mu ngi fi nekk na ndaw boo xam ne daal ñii yëpp si roni mayor bi lañ nekk te nekk na ndaw yoo xam ne daal dañ xarañ te tamit ñu ngi daan seen doole pour ensure ñu jàppale réew mi ñu jàppale Lord Mayor si achievement sami waaye tamit si struggle because nekkul lu yomb women leadership historically dañ xam ne rek comme ay kings lañ dee am fii waaye pour am queens bariwul su baree sax benn lañ xam nañ ne the queen of Sanyang kooku mu fi woon te tamit dafa nekk nit koo xam ne daal jigéen ñi jàmbaar lañ xam nañ ne before in the 80s and the 19th centuries xam nañ ne women leaders are here in the Gambia so it's not about reinventing the wheel it's about knowing who we are and how do we know who we are as a people and as a country it's through education. So all these things are not new. Women leadership is not new in the Gambia. Women leadership is not new in Africa. But it takes for someone to actually learn and know that these things are happening and they were happening and they're not to reinvent the world but also to ensure that women are supported to achieve their goals and objectives. Like I said, it's not about you versus me. It's about us. It's about women, a man and a woman working together collectively towards the achievement and the attainment of our developmental aspirations. So thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, for those remarks.
And we also like to especially and respectfully acknowledge the presence of veteran journalist and media proprietor Fatou Kamara, founder and CEO of Fatou Network. And we also like to respectfully acknowledge the presence of His Excellency Ibundu, former ambassador to Senegal. You're welcome, so thank you. And before we proceed, Jude, our special guest, the governor of Bayelsa State, has requested that the police band entertain us for 1 minute. I'm sure he loves music, so we'll allow the police band to entertain us.
Thank you, Sophia, too. That was a powerful poem. And of course, she is presenting a special gift to her Lordship, the Lord Mayor, for her resilience, her commitment, and her enduring legacy towards the empowerment of women in this country, but of course around the world. Thank you very much, Sophia, too, for the recognition. And then moving on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed to the presentation of the official magazine. And our next presenter is someone who continues to contribute to storytelling, media and public engagement through information sharing and documentation of important moments and milestones.
Of course, publications such as these help preserve stories, achievements, perspectives and experiences for present and future generations.
Please help us welcoming Mr. Omar Ba for the official magazine presentation.
Please give him a big round of applause. Omar Ba.
Mr. Omar Ba.
Newspaper. Omar Ba, the floor is yours.
BCC team is there in information. Well, Mr. Omar Ba is here.
Your name. And thank you very much for your efforts.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all in the name of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. My task here is precise and simple. I am tasked to formally introduce Her Lordship Mayor Rahimali Low's maiden magazine, prepared by me with the support of few other colleagues and journalists. The magazine has captured more than a political trajectory. It has documented how one mayor's vision is repositioning Banjul as a city that speaks on the world stage, not just within it. The magazine has exposed the fact that leadership must be measured not only by what is built locally, but by how effectively it attracts global attention and resources to local problems. Mayor Low's records demonstrate that local government, when led with ambition and international survey, can punch above its weight. Your Worship, Lord Mayor Rahimali Low, preparing this edition of your media magazine in your honor, has been deeply moving for me. I have been following your development from 2018 when you were first elected as Mayor of Banjul. I think I have attended almost 75% or at least 60% of events that you organize. And I am proud to say you have developed to be one of the best women of Africa. Page after page tells the story of a leader who refuses to let Banjul be overlooked. We praise your achievements at home, the push to make Banjul cleaner, more resilient, and more inclusive, the determination to center women and youth in decisions that shape their future, the courage to tackle flooding, waste, and decay head-on, knowing the work is hard and the resources are scarce. But what struck us most is how you have carried Banjul's voice beyond our borders. As president of RAFEDA, you have built bridges for African women leaders. In global forums, you have placed Banjul in conversations on climate urban resilience and finance spaces where our city too often goes on high. You have shown that local leadership rooted in purpose can command international respect. This magazine is more than a profile. It is a record of what is possible when leadership is bold, compassionate, and unafraid to think beyond the city limits. That said, thank you for providing Banjul with the leadership and inspiration it deserves. Just a short story before I conclude. When Mayor Law contacted me to prepare this magazine, I went there, we discussed about it, and I'm sure after that, she must have discussed it with others. And most of the people that he discussed it with, probably we are trying to convince her to give it to a bigger firm. Maybe they were not sure that a young man like me or young men like us who did this magazine were able to do it. But she said no. She said, I have trust in these people. I was with them when things were difficult. When I want to tell my stories today, I'll have to tell the story with them. And we thank you very much. That said, I wish you all a fruitful event. Al-Nimba Jarama Janef.
Thank you very much, Omar, for your support to the Lord Mayor of Banjul and also your contribution. Anyone who knows Omar knows that he is also someone who is a key figure in the Gambia's media industry. He has played a very important role towards the empowerment of women. And by the way, he is also my mentor. He mentored me when I was at the Standard newspaper growing up and I started journalism. So I am thankful and grateful to Omar today. He is someone who contributed immensely towards my development, but also my professional growth. So it's no surprise that Omar is part of those that actually supported Mayor in her journey to ensure that he documents some of the achievements that Omar has registered, but also key figures and personalities in this country that contributed towards the success of, the Mayor of Banjul. So moving on.